The salesperson wants to be liked, so acts like a fool. The buyer is motivated to not share intent. Don't share intent. Don't tell the salesperson what you want. You'll be taken advantage of. And by not sharing intent, look at what happens. Don't say anything. Grunt your answers. If you are greeted with a recognizable uniform, language, and scenario, brain shuts off, you find the right corresponding role. But you don't have to show up as a salesperson. You don't have to show up as a guest. You don't have to show up as a host. You don't have to show up as a parent. You can choose. You can let the circumstances choose for you, or you can choose yourself. And I often like to choose for myself. We all know you don't get a second chance to make a good first impression, but what a lot of people don't know is just below the surface lies a cheat code that can virtually guarantee that every first impression you make is a great one. And we're going to get into it right now. We all know we're social animals, but what does that actually mean? Well, what it means is that we are designed either by nature, by our creator, or some combination of both to work and to thrive among each other, which means that we have the capabilities to interact with people upon meeting them. What we often, though, don't understand is how we actually wind up doing it. And one of the ways we do it is with something that I call the social paradigm, this strange way that we have the ability to seamlessly interact with complete strangers almost without any hiccups at all. And when we break down how we do this, we can actually command this to work in our favor so that we can build incredible relationships within seconds of meeting virtually everybody. I'm going to break down exactly how this works and how you can use this not only in your everyday life, but also in your professional life so that you can virtually get along with anybody and understand what motivates them and understand how they behave in certain social situations. Let's talk about it. This is how social paradigm works. When we actually want to build a relationship with someone, it takes effort. It takes a lot of effort and it takes experience and it takes time. But most of the relationships that we build actually don't require this. Most of the relationships we build are what I would call transactional. They are really destined for a specific shared goal. Maybe it's me ordering coffee with a barista at Starbucks. Maybe it's me interacting with someone at work for a project. But the idea is that we have a common goal. We're both kind of meeting on that goal, and we both are done with our relationship when the goal is achieved. Now, sometimes those relationships will grow from there, but typically that's the purpose of many of these transactional relationships. How do we interact when we engage in these transactional relationships? Well, we quickly fall into roles. Like I mentioned, me ordering that Starbucks coffee. Very quickly, we're going to enter a role, and that role will be created based on our environment. That environment will include lots of things. It'll include the uniforms of the people in the environment. It'll include the behavior. It'll include the language. But when I walk up to the Starbucks counter, it's undeniable what's happening. There's someone behind that counter ready and paid to take my order and satisfy me as a customer while I go ahead and make my selection and engage with that barista as a customer. And that relationship we're going to call host-guest. What do I mean by host-guest? It means that that is the paradigm that we're going to operate under until this transaction is resolved. Let's break it down. What does host-guest mean? Host-guest literally means what it sounds like. My friend here, the barista, she is going to be playing the role of host, and I'll be playing the role of guest. As host, it's going to be obvious how she's going to behave. She is going to be tending to my needs. She's going to be kind of tethering her happiness to my happiness because her goal is to make sure that I am happy and satisfied. She'll be focused on my order. She'll be making sure that she's smiling. She'll be greeting me. She'll be offering me the different selections that she has. If I've got any questions, she'll be quick to answer them. And she'll make sure that the relationship and the transaction is as brief as she can make it, as pleasant as she can make it, and one that I hope that I will maybe repeat later. And what about me as guest? Do I have rules? Absolutely, I have rules. I can't really take up too much time because there are people behind me. I have to be direct with my order, and obviously I have to keep my order to something that they would have here at the Starbucks. I'll be direct in communication. I'll be friendly. I can't be distracted on my phone while I talk to her. That would be pretty rude. I have to engage directly. And when the transaction's over, so is our relationship. That's exactly what host-guest is. And this could be mirrored in lots of places. It could happen when I'm checking into a hotel. It can happen when I'm at the movie theater and I'm buying popcorn and a soda. All these things we get host-guest. But it's not just in a formal host-guest way. It appears in all kinds of places. Think about this example. I've got some buddies coming over to watch a football game. I live here in Boston, and I've got some buddies coming over to watch the Patriots. Some of these friends have been friends of mine for decades. What does that mean? It means when they come over in this very casual, normal kind of hangout fashion, you can imagine how it'll play out. Are they going to ring the doorbell when they arrive? Probably not. They're old friends of mine. They're going to let themselves in. If they want something to drink from the fridge, they'll get it themselves. They know where the beer is. It'll be a very casual hangout, us watching football. But if those same friends come by a week later with their significant others, who I also know very well, for a dinner party, I think it's safe to say everyone's going to act a little different. And they will be. They'll be acting different because now host-guest has been ignited. First off, they're going to ring the doorbell because that's what guests do at a formal dinner party. And I will answer the door and greet them in a more formal way. Hey, what's up, guys? Good to see you. Can I get your coat? Seems so innocent, but I would never ask my buddies who come over to watch a football game, hey, can I get your coat? Because that's weird. But it's not weird in this scenario. Same friends, same location. Totally different interaction. Can I get your coat, I say? And after they give me their coat, I go even further with asking them, what can I get you to drink? Something I didn't do when the same buddy came over for the football game. What can I get you guys to drink? We've got soda, beer, wine. Hey, I know you like the hard stuff. I got a little Jack if you want a Jack and Coke. Hey, Jen and I thought we'd have some fun and we make some sangria in case you want a little sangria. Look at me offering all the different selections, which I did not do when the same buddy was over the weekend before. And is it obvious what I'm hoping they pick? Of course it's obvious. I offered up the special sangria that I made special for the party. And what do my friends do? Exactly what you and your friends do when you go to your friend's house for a dinner party. You accept what's offered. That's the biggest rule for being a guest. Oh, says my friend, sangria sounds cool. Haven't had that in a while. I respond with sheer delight. Oh, sangria, great, you'll love it. I'll be right back. You're going to love this. Look how happy I am to give them what they asked for, which is what I offered. We're playing by all the rules. Everybody in the universe is happy. Host, guest is in effect. But what if it wasn't? What if my wife and I had a massive fight right before the party started and the fight spilled into the dinner party? Where I'm grumpy and like, hey guys, you know where the food is. You know where the drinks are. And I go back to my fight. Is that a cool thing for a host to do? You've been to those parties. It's pretty awkward. Or what if the guest is not following the rules? Can I get your coat? No, I'm good. Oh, well, can I get you something to drink? You got beer, wine, got some of the hard stuff. Thought we'd have some fun, made some sangria in case you want some sangria. No, I'm okay. Oh, you want some water? Nope. This is no way to behave at someone's party. Violating the rules is no good in the social paradigm. It stands out like a sore thumb, and you are not building the relationship that you would hope to build. You play by the rules of a social paradigm, everybody loves you. You don't play by the rules of the social paradigm, you're ostracized. What's wrong with you? I'll say it to my wife in the kitchen. What's wrong with Bob? He's being a jerk. Yes, he is being a jerk because he's not following the rules. Those rules were not in effect during the Patriots game, but they are in effect now. And side note, where'd you learn these rules? There's no book on social paradigm rules, is there? Nope. But you probably learn these rules from experience and from your family, because that's generally where we learn this stuff. I can still remember where I learned the host-guest rule. I was in the back seat of my car at about the age of 12. And we're pulling into it. My dad's driving, mom in the front seat, me and my brother in the back seat. We're driving to a neighborhood far nicer than the neighborhood I grew up in. And we're pulling into the driveway of a house far nicer than the house I lived in. And as we pull into the driveway, my dad shuts off the engine but doesn't get out of the car, to which my mother turns, faces the back seat, looking at me and my brother and says, "All right, you two animals, you listen good. This is Daddy's boss's house. So I want you on your best behavior. I don't want any of your bullshit. I want you being nice. I want you being polite. I want you saying thank you. I want you saying please. And whatever they offer you, you're going to accept it, and you're going to eat it, and you're going to drink it, and you're going to love it. Got it?" "Yeah, Mom, I got it. I learned guest rules." Okay. So you don't actually have to be in the Starbucks to be the guest. This guest could be ignited in all kinds of places. That's only one paradigm. There are lots of them. Doctor-patient's another. Whenever you go to a doctor's office, as patient, you're going to act in a very predictable way. Doctor's going to act in a predictable way. You see those flashing lights in your rearview mirror to get pulled over because you're maybe going a little too fast. Cop, criminal, in effect. You are going to act in a very predictable way, and so is the cop. Parent-child, classic paradigm. When my boys were little, they'd have their buddies over. They're all playing in the backyard. My wife opens up the window over the sink in the kitchen. "All right, boys, come on in for a snack." All the kids scurry in through the slider of the dining room. They come in. "Wash your hands and wipe off your feet before you get your snack, everybody." They all dutifully make a little duckling line into the bathroom, etc. If you were watching this, and I told you 2 of those kids are mine and 3 of them aren't, pick them. You couldn't. They're all doing the same thing. Why? 3 of those kids just met my wife that morning, and yet they're all following perfectly. Why? Because even though my wife is not their parent, they have a parent. And since my wife is behaving exactly like their parent, talking like their parent, acting like their parent in a parent-like scenario, their brain shuts off, they act like a child. Look at that. That's how powerful social paradigm is. When you are greeted with a recognizable vocabulary, a recognizable uniform in a recognizable scenario, you will behave accordingly. That's the social animal in us. "Oh, that's a cop, I'll be a criminal. Oh, that's a doctor, I'll be a patient." You don't literally think this way, but you act this way because this is how our social body works. And if we don't reach the common goal, the uniform's no good, the paradigm doesn't work, we'll switch gears. Now, one of these paradigms, by the way, is an interesting one. And very interesting to many of the subscribers on our channel. And why aren't you subscribed? Because 75% of you aren't. So once you hit that button that's facing you right now, it just takes a second. And then we can keep making out this great content for all you guys. But in addition, many of the subscribers here are salespeople. Not all, but a lot are. And if you're in sales, you know this paradigm real well. Buyer, seller. And even if you're not in sales, you know it because you buy things. And if you buy things or you sell things, you know this dance. If there's a sales call anywhere in the world and it's going on in a conference room and you look at that sales call through a glass window and you can't hear anything but you can see it, tell me you can't tell who the sales rep is in 2 seconds. By how they act. You can tell who the buyer is in 2 seconds by how she acts. That's the paradigm in action, and that buyer-seller is brutal. Brutal for both parties. Neither party gets what they want in that paradigm. Think about how it plays out. How does the salesperson look in the buyer-seller paradigm? Big, stupid, toothy grin, nodding their head like a nut. Can't stop talking, can't stop gesturing, interrupting like crazy, super accommodating. Person shows up late, no problem. Overly friendly, overly cheery. You get the rhythm, you get it. Who likes that person? Ugh, it's so annoying. But that is the look and feel, the uniform of the salesperson. And why? Why does the salesperson in the paradigm act in such a horrible way? Because of the motivation. The motivation for the salesperson is often to be liked. It's a poor fit, but that desire to be liked is driving this ghastly behavior. What about the buyer? They're no better. What is the buyer doing? Arms crossed, serious, grumpy, distracted, doesn't believe anything they're hearing, closed off, See, the salesperson's not going to get what they want acting like they are. The buyer's not going to get what they want acting like they are. What does the buyer say to their significant other when they pull into the Honda dealership on a Saturday morning looking for Hondas? Whatever you say, don't say you want the Honda. I mean, it's ridiculous. But that's part of the paradigm. The salesperson wants to be liked, so acts like a fool. The buyer is motivated to not share intent. Don't share intent. Don't tell the salesperson what you want. You'll be taken advantage of. And by not sharing intent, look at what happens. Don't say anything. Grunt your answers. Don't share. You're not going to get what you want that way either. It's a terrible paradigm. But you saw the thumbnail. This is about how do you build connections instantly. Well, now you know. The cheat code. I told it to you. If you are greeted with a recognizable uniform, language, and scenario, brain shuts off, you find the right corresponding role. You show up as a salesperson, you're going to get a buyer. And who wants a buyer? But you don't have to show up as a salesperson. You don't have to show up as a guest. You don't have to show up as a host. You don't have to show up as a parent. You can choose. You can let the circumstances choose for you, or you can choose yourself. And I often like to choose for myself. You know, there's another paradigm we haven't mentioned, an interesting one, a one we know very well. It's called teacher-student. Teacher-student we learn when we're 6. We learn in kindergarten. It's an interesting paradigm. You don't have to literally be in a teacher-student paradigm. We know what it is literally. If you were to see a classroom, you could tell instantly who the teachers and the students are. Teachers standing, students are sitting. Teachers doing all the talking. Students are what? Silent and still, listening. That's all a student does, listen. Nice and quiet and still. Unless they have a question, but then they have to ask permission to talk, raise their hand, or get their attention from the teacher. They can't just interrupt. They have to ask permission. And if they do talk, the questions have to be on point and short and based in curiosity, not opportunity. They can't be leading questions. They have to be real, honest questions. It's the simplest thing in the world is to be a student. Why? What's their motivation? Simple. Learn. How easy is that? And the teacher? Oh, teacher's got rules too. How does the teacher behave? Teacher's got to share. Teacher's got to talk. Teacher's got to provide information. Teacher's got to keep the ball rolling. Teacher's got to keep the plates up on the spinner. Teacher has to be the engaged one. They also have to be a little nice. They also have to be patient. They have to be kind. They have to own the content and own the watch. They have to know what time it is. They own the agenda. All the heavy lifting is on the shoulders of the teacher. And no, you don't have to be in a formal classroom to be a teacher-student. All you have to do is walk on a crowded urban street, ask someone for help, a stranger. Excuse me, sir, can you help me? My phone just died and I'm lost. Can you tell me how to get to XYZ tourist attraction? And you watch in that instant. If you honor being a student, I'm lost, I'm vulnerable, I'm ignorant, I'll shut up and listen. If you do that, guess what's about to happen? This total stranger is going to turn into a teacher. All of a sudden, they're going to talk. They're going to share. They're going to explain. They're going to make sure you understand. They'll slow down if they need to. Their focus will be on you. They'll help you. They'll fill the air with their own words. For nothing, just because you asked as an interested, helpless student. You want to turn that closed-lipped buyer into a talkative, kind sharer? Be a student instead of a sales rep, instead of a salesperson. Show up to those moments with quietness and curiosity and vulnerability and stillness. Stop interrupting, and you might actually get them talking. It's incredible how powerful it is. The trick is figuring out it's not so much what I want to be. It's what am I hopeful that they can be. If I want to build an instant relationship with someone, I ask myself, what, given the circumstances, would be the best role for that person? Sometimes I want them to be a teacher. Sometimes I want them to be an employer. Sometimes I want them to act like a doctor. Sometimes I want them to act like a patient. It depends on the circumstances. But whatever I think would be the best role for them to be in for our relationship to flourish, I will pick the opposite and act accordingly. Pretty cool stuff. And there's lots more of it, but put it in the comments. Where have you seen relationships turn into different types of relationships because you took a different tack? When you present yourself in a different way, or maybe relationships that started as one type of relationship and grew to another. The human condition is a fascinating one. We make very, very quick decisions. But when we take some courage into how we present ourselves, we can very quickly pivot and go away from classic relationships that often run us into dead ends into very different types of relationships that will get the transactions we want, but allow the relationship to flourish in such a way that we get an instant one. So try it and have fun with it. And as always, happy selling.